welcome to the very first American car review on Driveopolis. I'm in the 2016 Shelby GT350 Mustang, and I am so excited to drive this car. It's actually not that easy to get seat time in one of these, and thanks to a very kind viewer on my YouTube channel, Cal Hoonjan, who offered his own personal GT350 for me to drive. This car is finished in a beautiful avalanche gray. Reminds me a bit of the Mazda ceramic metallic color. It's got the black hood stripes and the all-important and quite expensive track package, which adds oil coolers and some additional durability items. Cal does take this car to the track, bit of a track day guy, so those are obviously very good items to have. Just winding down on some very nice twisty roads here, and the engine really dominates the experience. It is a 5.2 liter flat plane crank naturally aspirated V8, and it makes an absolutely glorious sound. Gear down to second here, let's turn it in. You can already see the traction control light flickering. I'm gonna get by my camera car. Got to heel and toe myself in this car. I don't believe there's a rev match feature. Tight right hander here. Back on the power. Oh, a little bit of rotation from the rear end. The pedals are well spaced for heel and toe downshifts. So there you go. That's a little bit of acceleration experience in the GT350. I am in the sport drive mode. I got dampers on normal. I'm just gonna turn things up a little harder. I've got it on sport now. Steering was a little light and normal. I'm gonna put it onto sport. Here we go. So a little bit of setup. Now we're in the correct drive modes. Hope the audio is coming through and giving you a sense of how richly detailed the sound of this V8 is. Such a characterful engine. It's just lovely, which is a really cool thing, really. I mean, American cars are now the last vestige of character, isn't it? I mean, the Europeans have all kind of gone turbocharged, PDK only, or DSG, or MDCT, automatic flappy paddle gearboxes. And here we are, an American muscle car in 2016 with a stonking mad 5.2 liter flat plane V8 with 526 horsepower, 429 foot-pounds of torque, and a mandatory manual gearbox. This is the stuff of dreams, and something that you don't really get in Europe anymore. And here's an astounding figure for you. In March of this year, 2016, in Germany, they sold more Mustangs, regular Mustangs, than the Porsche 911, or the Boxster, or the Cayman, or the LDTT. What does that tell you about preferences shifting, even in the homeland of Porsche, BMW, Audi? It's quite a surprising thing if you ask me. And actually speaks volumes about the value the people are seeing in the new Mustang. Now we do have to be careful about that because there is a sense of American novelty. While here in America and Canada we like European stuff because it's Euro cool, there's a bit of American cool about the Mustang in Europe. But even so, you remember that the regular Mustang GT is about a 33 grand US car out in the States. It's all the way up to about 50 grand US in Europe. So people are spending more money for a Mustang, so there must be a reason for that. And I can see quite a bit of this now as I'm driving this GT350. Suspension is very firm, but not overly so. It's well damped and very European in feel. It's very old school. It is an electric helm, electric power assist, but the feel isn't bad. There is some feedback coming back up from those Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires. These are not the Sport Cup 2s. I've been driving a lot of Sport Cup 2s in my own personal GT4 and a GT3, and this is a Pilot Super Sport, which is still a very good street tire. It's not quite a Cup tire, it's not quite as aggressive as a Cup 2s, but it's a very good balance of comfort and ride and everyday usability. So it's a very good choice. BMW has pretty much exclusively used the Pilot Super Sports in the M2, XXM, and any of the other. Here's a nice pressing opportunity. Let's see how it sounds. My God, the sound is amazing. It's like the sound of distant rolling thunder, except amplified by a few notches. It ripples, there's bass, it's noisy, it's angry, it filters in through the cabin nicely. I'm sure it's just extremely loud outside. personal ref matches for you there. No auto blip that I can see. I don't see a setting for it in this car. I'm having fun. I'm having fun. This engine, this powertrain is really quite fantastic on these farm roads here, these 2-laners. It is a big car, you know, I gotta admit, but it does shrink around you, kind of like the best big performance cars. You know what? I'm gonna draw a comparison here. This reminds me actually of BMW back when they were at their best. Not to say that they're terrible now, they are very, very good now, especially the M2, which I reviewed recently at Laguna Seca, a fantastic car. But this car reminds me of, for me, the golden era of BMW. We're talking about the E46, E39 days, and this is very quite similar in character to me as an E39 or E60 M5, more the E39 M5 because it had a V8 and a mandatory manual box. This is just like that. The rain is just starting to come down a little bit. I'm actually quite happy I'm on the Super Sport tires and not on the Cup 2s. Cup 2s do give you a little bit of wiggle in the rain, especially when driven enthusiastically. Now on paper, this car is quite heavy. I think you're up to about 3,700 pounds, which is quite a lot of weight to be hustling around. But on the road, I'm blasting down some twisties here. It does feel actually surprisingly light on its feet. It's actually quite balletic in its chassis responses. It's got the power, it's got the throttle adjustability, it's got the firm damping, it's got a good gearbox. And body control, in spite of these quite bumpy roads, it's actually really good. I'm having a lot of confidence hustling this big Mustang around. Dimensionally, it does feel quite big. I'm looking around at my 4 corners and they do stretch towards the horizon, both front and rear. But, you know, look, small adjustments to steering, it's very responsive. I don't get the sense that it's got a lot of weight to throw around here. It's actually hides its weight very, very well, just like the best BMWs. The best BMWs are all quite heavy, but they hide their weight extremely well. And the same can be said for this Mustang. Okay, my only first minor dynamic criticism, driving experience-wise, is the gearbox feel. It's functional, it works extremely well, but they're not quite. There's a little bit of rubberiness in the shift action. It's not quite as sharp or mechanical or crisp as what you would find in the best shifters, like in my own car, the Porsche GT4. More twisties here. I just want to enjoy this experience a little, so I'm just going to shut up for a minute. Nice sense of rotation there from the rear tires. The traction control came in very smoothly to counteract it. It is a big, powerful car, rear-wheel drive, aggressive limited slip differential, so you do expect movement from the rear end, but that's really part of the fun, isn't it? That's why we enjoy rear-wheel drive. We like that power oversteer, the power adjustability of the rear end. So that's a corner exit for you there, all the way up to near 8,200 RPM. That is a magnificent accomplishment. 526 horsepower out of a naturally aspirated V8. That is awesome. This is awesome. This is the stuff we talk about all the time. And here we have an American manufacturer giving it all to us. Oh, wow. This is sweet. This is a nice piece of kit. It is a little bit of a damp condition here, so I do have to be careful, but it's a great way to feel out the balance of this suspension and chassis. It's very, very throttle adjustable. The throttle pedal is weighted very nicely. It responds very intimately with the engine. And the suspension is just soaking up these twisties. The steering is in sport mode now. It is still a tiny bit light for my liking, but nothing I would actually complain about. It's a very, very sharp tool for the weight of the car, for the weight and size of the car, the way I can hustle it through these twisty roads. Tells you a lot about Ford's expertise now in chassis and suspension design and tuning. big bump does upset it a little bit in this sport damping mode. These are active dampers. They call it the Magna Ride, I believe, with Ford speak. And it is a little bit attack biased right now, and that's the way I like my cars to set up. These backcountry roads are actually a really great way to experience a GT350. It is a big car, but it's shrinking so nicely around me. Wow, 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 this is fun. This is fun. Parts of the experience are a little bit crude. I do hear some noises from the gearbox, a little bit of synchro rattle or something. It's not quite as refined as you might want from a European car, but there's small quibbles. It's kind of part of the experience, isn't it? It's crude, a little bit crude, but it's also very raw, and that's what's missing now from European cars. They've lost their raw appeal. They used to be very characterful back in the 90s and millennial, but they've gone kind of a little bit generic. I'm sorry, it's true. All these turbocharged engines, softer feel, softer suspension, more comfort bias steering, and electric assist, and robbing all the feel and feedback. I mean, this is electric assist, but I can feel that they've put some effort into maintaining some of that feedback that a good enthusiast car should have. Okay, my top 3 cars this year, by far. BMW M2, you saw me review that at Laguna Seca. If you haven't, please watch the video. Porsche GT4, also fantastic car. I like it so much, I actually bought one and traded in my GT3 for one. And right up there on that list right now, 2016 Ford Shelby GT350. It's got to be on there. The combination of this insane, old school, but also very special flat plane powertrain, 526 horsepower, mandatory manual gearbox, rear drive, a transparent, effortless, and very, very involving driving experience makes this a must-have, a must-drive. What a wonderful accomplishment by Ford. This is something truly special. It transcends the regular muscle car stereotypes. I haven't driven muscle cars because, and I haven't reviewed them because I haven't had any interest. I am now a believer in Ford. Okay, I don't know about the Camaro. I know the Camaro's been getting good press. I know the Z06 gets good press. Haven't driven those, but this car definitely has opened my mind to Ford. They've got the Focus RS, which I'm now very interested in. They've also got the Ford GT, which everybody is interested in. But this GT350 really takes it to the next level, especially for people coming from a European sporting car background. Driving experience is there. The fit and finish are not quite there, but driving experience absolutely is. So when they just improve that interior layout and the fit and finish, they're going to be absolutely right up there with the best from Germany. Compared to my other 2 favorite cars, the M2 and the Porsche Cayman GT4, which I own, I think there's quite a few differences. They're actually completely different driving experience, and that's a great thing. You can have 3 different driver's cars that go around corners, go around straights differently, but all bring their own distinct game to the table. This is like a very sophisticated cornering muscle car. Right, this car is big dimensionally, it is a little bit heavy, but they've tuned the steering and the suspension to make it shrink around you. It's actually a muscle car in the way the best Euro muscle cars used to be, like the E39 M5, except this is, of course, more modern. It's got an even better engine, it's got a decent gearbox, driving position and visibility are very, very good. It is big, but you drive around it, you get used to it, and the car shrinks around you. It is great in corners. The rear end is very lively, but it is very communicative. It's very involving, so you always feel what the rear tires are up to. It's not quite as track focused as my GT4. It's got Pilot Super Sports, and that tells you everything you need to know. GT4s are on the Cup 2s. They're stickier, more aggressive, and even more uncompromising. The Pilot Super Sports are a great all-around street tire, so this is a really great all-round road and track machine. GT4 is mid-engine, you sit lower, you got the carbon buckets that hold you even more. It's even more of a weapon, and I love it. I wouldn't really give it up for any other car right now. The M2 is more frisky. The M2 has got a shorter wheelbase than either of those cars. It's got a very compact driving experience. It feels like a Miata on stilts with a big turbocharged engine. That's what the M2 is all about. It's really frisky and adjustable, and you have to be adjusting all the time as you approach the limits. It's a lot of fun. I had tons of fun with it at Laguna Seca. Also a great driving experience, but of course you don't get naturally aspirated engine. That's what makes a GT4, GT3, and of course this GT350 so special. They're naturally aspirated engines. That's the last vestige of what we really value as car enthusiasts. Naturally aspirated engine for the response and power and character. Just gone to the end of the road here. Follow me on at driveopolis on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. We've been doing a lot more reviews if you haven't noticed already. I gotta say a big thank you to Cal Hunjan for lending me the car for the day. I gotta thank my videographer, driver, and drone pilots, Corey and Karen. They've been instrumental in my productivity at Driveopolis recently. And also Alex Keller for all his wonderful back-end website work. We're gonna be launching the Driveopolis website really soon. I'm so excited to show you what we've come up with. You guys are gonna love it. It's gonna be lots more content to come. So if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to direct message me, the best way to do it is via Twitter or Instagram. Instagram is really good for direct messaging, so follow me on those platforms. Thank you, Cal. If you guys out there are in the market for a fleet purchase from Ford, consider Cal. Check him out at Hallmark Ford. He's a sales and leasing expert for fleet sales. Thank you, Cal, for lending me your car for the day. I really love it. Great choice in Avalanche Gray. Oh, you are so lucky. I am jealous. I want this car in my garage as well, alongside the GT4 and maybe an M2. I think I'm asking for a lot, but that would make me a really happy guy. Thank you again for watching. It's been a lot of fun bringing you the experience of this GT350 onto YouTube. Subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.